anything in particular that anyone wants to talk about before we kind of get into things today? Give me a minute. Yeah, so what I would like to work on today is, can we now take some of the things that we started to talk about last week and bring them up onto our feet a little bit more? Being able to feel our breath and our rib cage expand, being able to feel our pelvic floor expand, but also feel that like reflexive support that's there without clenching, without gripping. I think a lot of us, when we start to get into this work, we realize like, oh my gosh, I was really like using a lot of tension for stability and making me feel like that was holding me together, versus actually feeling what it feels like for our muscles and our breath and our internal pressures to sort of offer that support to our system. So what we're going to do first, though, is we're going to come down onto the floor and we'll get into it. Slip my sweatshirt up. Okay. So let's grab, if we have our ball. Hold on, I should have grabbed all my things before. We're gonna grab our little ball or yoga blocks, and we'll put that. We'll start with that in between our knees, especially if you felt like from between week 1 and week 2, you felt better, not week 1, day 1 and day 2, you felt better with more muscular activation. Definitely putting the ball in between knees is going to be helpful for you. Good. So we're going to think about a little bit of pressure on the ball. We're going to take a nice breath of air in through our nose, keeping some pressure on the ball. And pressing through our hands and thinking about that index finger pressing down. I think a really common complaint kind of with sort of all my clients in general, sometimes wrists don't really love being down on the floor, but it's often because we're kind of on that pinky side edge of our hand. It's kind of compressy in our wrist. So thinking about getting that index finger down onto the ground and almost imagining you're turning the pits of your elbows forwards, but we're not locking them out. So I sometimes have a tendency to lock those elbows out for stability. So we want to think pits of those elbows are forward, but we're soft in our elbows. And what that might actually do is turn our triceps on a little bit. And not to go down a tricep rabbit hole, but our triceps are kind of like the hamstring of our upper body. So our hamstrings help our pelvic floor relax. Our triceps sometimes help us relax some of that upper back tightness. Okay, so from here, we're going to lift up through those ribs, rounding those backs. And we're going to just do a couple breaths here. Blow all that air out. Feel like we're lifting that belly up toward the ceiling. You can do 4 good breaths. Thinking, can we get our nose moving forward over our fingertips without letting our low back take over? So we don't want to rock forward with really an archy back. We want to think, can we keep our pelvis lifted, our ribs lifted? And we get those nose over our fingertips. Even just breathing in this position, kind of keeping abs on, keeping back open. Sometimes I even heat up a little bit. But let's keep toes tucked if you can. We're going to have index finger down. You're going to keep back open. We're going to inhale. And we're going to rock back, keeping that back open. And then as we exhale, we're going to rock forward, bringing nose over our fingertips, but pressing through those hands, keeping those ribs lifted. Good. Inhale, rocking back. Maybe imagining those sits bones are spreading apart as you inhale and rock back. Good. Beautiful. And then let's come back to fours. We're gonna lift up again, shift that nose over our fingertips. And we're gonna do just 4 more breaths, but we're not rocking this time. Toes could be tucked if you'd like. But can I keep my ribs lifted and my abs on as I breathe here without clenching my butt cheeks? And so if you're a butt clencher, find that blocker ball, maybe even turning your ankles out a little bit to stop the clench. And it should feel harder than it looks. It should feel difficult to not default back into a pattern of kind of clenching or gripping those butt cheeks or letting that back arch. Okay, so then let's rock back to child's pose. Let's just take a few, with elbows at knees, let's just take a few breaths here. Feel the ribs move down the front of the thighs. Let's take right arm and reach right arm. So we're getting some nice opening of those right ribs. Really trying to feel that whole right side of the body. Elongate. Good. Nice. And we're gonna come back up into all fours. If wrists are having a hard time with that, you could be on elbows here, or you could even be on like a chair here. So I could grab my, or you could be on a exercise ball. So if you have a big exercise ball, like the one over there, you could go forearms on there. But if hands and wrists are struggling there, you can absolutely prop up onto elbows. So from here, we're gonna kickstand our right leg out to the side. And so the key with our kickstand, our rules with the kickstand, is that our pelvis is gonna want to open up to the kickstand side. If I kind of turn. But our rules with the kickstand here is that our pelvis needs to be able to go to the bottom side knee. Okay, so if I'm down in all fours, I'm not rocking. It really is no benefit to my pelvis or my pelvic balance if I'm open and I'm rocking back and forth with my zipper open toward the right. Okay, I want you to think about dropping into your right arch of your foot and turning your zipper towards your left knee. And what that should do is really cinch up some tension in that right inner thigh. Good. Then we're gonna think inhale, and we're just gonna gently rock back. When you're really shifted over to that left side and your weight is on that left hip, you actually may not be able to rock very far at all because we're here. If your pelvis is open to the right, you can rock all day long, but we're really not mobilizing what we want to mobilize, which is that high right inner thigh, the right front part of our pelvic floor, and then we're offering support from that by lifting the left front pelvic floor. You don't need to think about that you're doing that because your body is just gonna do it. Good, but we're gonna inhale, gently rock back. I can't go very far because it's a lot right here. Good, and then exhale, nose over fingertips. And as we go, and as we breathe in, we should feel like gradually, maybe we start to get a little bit more length, a little bit more expansion into that right inner thigh. But we don't want it to be pain. Good. And then let's switch over and let's compare. So based on a pattern of normal human asymmetry, but we may not all have normal human asymmetry, but in a normal pattern of human asymmetry, this right inner thigh and right front pelvic floor tend to be more overactive, and this left side tends to be a little less active. So this is a place where we can almost self-assess here. This is a little self-test, kind of like we did with the breathing over the bolster. So if we kickstand out that left leg and try to turn our zipper toward the right knee, it's just taking note of how tight that feels and compare. It may also feel tight, and that's okay. But again, our rocking, because I still feel tension there, it's just a little different. The quality is a little bit different. Good, we're gonna inhale and rock back. Not a huge rock back. And so what will be interesting in your own body is, does this feel the same? Does it feel equally tight? Does it feel more tight? Does it feel less tight? And that's cool to be able to explore. Again, watching that our zipper is not open toward that left side, we're closing our pelvis to the right. Good. And then so let's come back to whatever side felt tighter. So if you felt tighter on the left, stay on the left for a few more breaths. If you felt tighter on the right, let's switch back over to the right. I'm going to do a few more on my right side. Turning that zipper toward that left knee or vice versa. I'll kind of explain what I feel in my body here, and that may help. So in my body here, I feel like this is muscularly very tight. I feel like the muscle is holding on tight. When I do this on the left side, it feels a little more sharp, like a little more like stingy. Is that kind of a weird way to describe it, but it's a different quality of stretch. And it's very hard for our body to distinguish between a stretch of muscle that's a muscle that's sort of truly short and a muscle that's sort of already elongated. But how it kind of feels in my body is that my right side, that's maybe more truly short, feels like I'm stretching a muscle, where my left side, that's maybe elongated, feels a little more like a guitar string, like kind of, yeah, just sharp. And so both feel like a stretch, which is, again, kind of a hard thing to wrap our head around. But I think it's cool to experiment and sort of tune into what those different things feel like in our body. Okay, so now let's just come back to all fours, and let's just do a little bit. I like to call it like get the jelly or peanut butter out of the jar. So we're just gonna move our ribs all out to the side, sort of side bending, thinking about bringing one side of shoulder and rib cage together and feeling the other side open, and just sort of feeling how the two sides of our rib cage really can communicate. Good, and then you could let back arch and round and kind of play around with it. Good. Like that, just scraping the edges of that rib cage. Okay, beautiful. All right. So then let's check in, whether that's in a child's pose or sitting or maybe laying on your back, whatever position you felt like over week 1, you felt like you could feel your pelvic floor best. Let's come into that. And let's just check in with that movement and see if we are finding it at all. Take a nice breath of air in. Good. So imagining as we breathe in that we're creating, as we breathe in, we're creating more surface area in our pelvis. So we're thinking not just that we're sending air down, but we're also expanding out. So we're going out. And on the exhale, we're just sort of recoiling back in. Good. Okay. So in this position, for me, I'm doing it in sitting, but that could be in child's pose, that could be here, that could be on your back, wherever that is, that you can feel that best. we're gonna try to see, can we recreate that feeling up in standing? And we're gonna use the ability to tune into that as a way to tell if our system is really ready sometimes for a harder progression of things. So let's stand. We're gonna start. I'm gonna use this little strip of wall over here. I wish I could zoom, but I'm gonna just sort of get myself lined up as best as I can. So we're gonna put our back up against the wall. I should have my non-slippy socks on, but actually I'm gonna take the socks off so I don't slip. Running shoes on is great. I love a non-slip sock in the house. I find that's really helpful. Or bare feet. So from here, I want you to try to find on the wall. This is often the hardest part. Sort of your bra line to your belt line, which means you're gonna have to bring your weight back. Your center of gravity is gonna have to come back onto the wall. And so your feet it's not like a wall sit. You're kind of leaning on the wall, and your foot is gonna be at least one of your own foot lengths away from the wall, maybe a little bit more. Okay. So we're gonna find that bra line to belt line on the wall. And sometimes I find sliding your hands down the fronts of your thighs helpful to find that. So your upper back and your upper body can roll forward. And this question comes up all along a lot of the time. This feels like bad posture. This feels like I'm slouching over. And we kind of are, okay? But we're doing it on purpose. Okay. We're not doing it not on purpose. Our rib cage likes to be here and our pelvis maybe likes to be here. We are slouching, we're bringing our upper body with us to help this rib cage figure out how to connect with this pelvis. So temporarily, yes, we are kind of rounding our upper back. But we then, once we have this established, then we can bring ourselves back up nice and tall. But now we have a nice solid foundation. So this is one of those things where we're kind of trusting the process on this. Okay, so we're gonna put that ball in between our knees, and we're gonna just slide hands down the front of thighs. And so you're gonna press your knees into the ball, feeling your inner thighs. And I want you to try to find your heels and your big toe. So make sure that that big toe is not peeling off the floor. Good. And our hands are here. Now we're going to take a nice breath of air in through our nose. And try to feel that inhale almost pushing back into the wall. And then we may also feel that inhale pushing down into those back pockets. If you're clenchy here in your butt, you're not going to be able to feel that. That's why we've got the ball in here. We're pressing in and seeing, can we relax that lower butt as we breathe in and feel our back expand. And then exhale. You can either slide your hands down the fronts of your thighs, or you can reach your hands forward. Keep the hands reaching. And so as you go, you might find you're rounding a little bit more, right? That's all good. You should feel your abs, your inner thighs, maybe the backs of your thighs, and maybe even the fronts of your thighs a little bit. All of these big muscles are working to help you breathe so that pelvic floor doesn't feel like when you're upright, it needs to clench and hold and do the thing that's holding all of that tension. We've got to show it. We've got these thigh muscles, we've got these hamstrings, we've got these abdominals. Okay, let's do a few more breaths here. Relax those butt cheeks on the inhale. Good. Okay, take a little break. I'm gonna set in the summary of class, there's gonna be a couple different variations of that with reaching or maybe hands pressing into a chair if you're having a hard time with just the reaching on the wall. But we're gonna show another option as well, but full, because I find sometimes the wall being there, especially for people who are very tight in their back, the wall being there, sometimes we tighten up against the wall. So for this one, we're going to use either the back of a chair or like a table or countertop. We're going to press into that. I'm going to have my ball in between my knees and my feet are right underneath me. Okay, so we're kind of thinking about, can we almost like cat cow here, but then can we stay in our cat with our ribs connected to our abs? Good. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. We're pressing our hands in. So our hands pressing in, kind of like we did at the beginning. You can see a little baby tricep are also our serratus anterior, a muscle that helps our scapula and our ribs connect together. Also helps us with finding these abs. Good. So from we're here, we're feeling that back body expand, and then we're going to exhale. Let's squat down just a little bit. Then we're going to hold this little mini squat, keeping pressure on our ball. Expand our back body. Exhale, hug the ribs down, hug the ribs, belly in. Good. Let's do one more breath. If you find when you're doing this, your fingers are going crazy or your toes are going crazy, they're trying to help. What that sometimes is this overflow of work with our hands or our toes or like our eyes or our jaw trying to help is cool. It's cool neurology. It's our brain trying to help our body figure out something in here that's maybe not quite familiar with yet. And so hands are like, we want to help. Sort of the same principle of people who may be hypermobile. They're really good at gaining flexibility in our fingers or wrists or hands or arms, but then we get really locked down in this central part. So when we're doing these types of activities, we're trying to remind the central part, you have movement, you have dynamic flow here, so we don't have to create all this extra work in other places. Okay, let's try that one more time. We're going to change the breathing pattern just a little bit here. So with our feet right underneath us, feeling those big toes down, heels down, we're going to think, let's start with an exhale, get all that air out. Good. And then we're going to breathe in. And we're kind of squatting down as we breathe in. It's okay to let those knees go forward, but we're keeping this part of our back. We don't want to squat down like this. So that's why we're pressing into the chair. So we're breathing into our back and squatting down, and then exhale, hold, press into the ball. And when we inhale and squat down, it encourages more opening in that back body. And then those back pockets trying, we're not clenching back here, we're not clenching. Oops, I'm supposed to be squatting right now. And you're just gonna go to a spot where it feels good, and then we'll breathe in one more time. Getting a little shaky. And then we'll blow out and stand up. Do that one more time. Hands on the surface. Little bend of our knees. We'll breathe in and blow out. Pause. Breath in, squatting. And instead of thinking on that exhale of it contracting your pelvic floor, I want you to think about blow out, find the ball, find those abs. Inhale, squatting down, blow. Abs are on, back is relaxed, back muscles are relaxed. Woo. Beautiful. Again, small movement, little sweatier, a little harder than it looks on the surface. Okay, good job. Let's grab our little book or block, our 1 to 2 inch block or book. I'm gonna grab my anatomy book that I spent a lot of money on and probably didn't read enough when I was in school. And we're gonna put that underneath our left foot. So same thing with the left and right adductor that we experimented with. We're gonna play with this on both sides as a little self-experiment to see maybe where are we individually holding a little bit more tension. We're gonna keep our ball in between our legs, but let's put it up a little bit higher this time, or a yoga block a little bit higher. I'm gonna back up just so you can. We're still using our table or surface. Maybe you're on the wall if you don't have one of those things available, but it will be much easier on the expressor too. Then we're gonna have our left foot on the elevated surface, and our right foot is going to go just slightly ahead, maybe like half of the foot ahead. So like my arch is kind of lining up with my big toe. Okay. And so we're gonna think similar to where we started with the last exercise. Kind of rounding our back. Good. But this time, like we did in that asymmetrical rock back, we're thinking about pulling our zipper towards that left thigh. So we're not keeping our pelvis turned to the right. We're thinking, can I pull my zipper toward my left knee or my left big toe by pulling in with my left knee? Okay. So when we start to go over to that left side, we're not letting the left knee swing out. We're not letting the foot swing out. We're not going all the way over. We're staying anchored in our foot, and we're thinking about sliding that right knee forward and that left knee back. Imagine you have like a bikini on and you're trying to deepen the crease of that. And so you're pressing your left knee in and you're shifting your weight back kind of in a southwest direction. Okay, that's subtle. Okay, so abs are on. We're going back and we're shifting that left knee back and in. And when you get back over there, you might feel a little stretch in that left back pocket. But we want to make sure we're not clenched there. We're nice and relaxed in that butt cheek. We're feeling that high up inner thigh as we press our knee into the ball. You might even be feeling your hamstring work a little bit here. Good. So then what we're going to do is we're going to inhale and squat. And our weight is mostly now on this left side. And we're exhaling, we're standing up. Keeping in that hip crease. Inhale, squatting down. Butt cheek is relaxed. Exhale. Your butt down here is relaxed. Your butt up here might be tired. So our glute med, our side butt. Good. Exhale, drive up. Ooh, I'm feeling shaky. Sometimes we get the little shakes in these types of slow exercises. Good. And back. Getting up. Good. Inhale, sitting back. Left hip is working hard, left leg is tired. But our pelvic floor, we should not be gripping our pelvic floor. We should be feeling maybe side butt, hamstring, inner thigh, maybe our abs, all of the things that help support this nice pumping action of our pelvic floor, but we're not gripping that pelvic floor. Anyone have questions about that? That's a little more complicated movement. So anyone have trouble feeling any of that or getting into that position, or wanna ask any questions about that? Okay, good. Not good. You're welcome to always ask questions. So let's switch it over to our right side and let's compare how that feels on our right side, okay? And we'll wrap it up. So ball way high up. Good, right foot is gonna go a little bit behind left foot. Sometimes it's almost easier to learn this on the right side because most of us will it'll be a little easier to figure it out on the right. Okay, so right foot is down. We're thinking about that hip crease. We're deepening that hip crease as we come back. And then we're gonna inhale. And we're squatting down. Exhale, standing up. Good. Thinking about we're not letting that right knee and right pelvis go. We're sitting down into that. Exhale, drop it, pushing that right knee into the ball. Inhale, squatting down. Relax in that butt cheek. Good job. So, okay. Good. Any questions? Did that compare? Was that a little easier on the right side, or did it feel about the same? Trying to figure out how to make that little hip shift happen. Kind of like our pull backs and pull forwards that we did laying on the ground on Wednesday last week, right? We're teaching this left and right side of our pelvis. How do we communicate with each other? And that often offers mobility, but also this sense of support in our system that we need. Okay, so let's come back down into the position that you started in. That might have been on your back, that might have been sitting up, that might have been in child's pose, or whichever position you like best, whichever was your favorite from week 1. Maybe it's a 99 with your feet on the chair. I'm gonna change it up actually I'll do the same just for sake of retest. I'm gonna sit on my ball and take a few breaths here. And visualizing that. Inhale, air is coming in. And I'm not only bringing air down, but out. And then exhale. We're coming back. And maybe on this one, we're gonna inhale, go down and out. On this one, can we bring it back together? And imagine we're trying to pick up that blueberry with our vaginal opening. But I don't want it to feel like a clamp and a squeeze hard. We're just helping that recoil. And it should almost feel like very easy work. We don't want this to feel like hard work, and then we're gonna drop it off, inhale. Expand. If we expand, that power is there to blow out. But if we don't expand, it's gonna feel like hard work. Those Kegels are gonna feel like we're working really hard to make that Kegel happen. But if we fully expand, we get that flow going, that internal pressures going, then it should feel good. Awesome, beautiful. Any thoughts or questions or anything anyone wants to chat about before we sign off for today? Okay. Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day. And yes, some people feel more comfortable asking in the community or in messages, and that's totally fine. I'm always happy to answer your questions. Know that I'm here for you guys in this community. So don't hesitate to reach out with your questions and all that good stuff. All right. Have a good day, everybody. And we'll see you on Wednesday. All right. Bye-bye. Oh, bye-bye. Hold on. Where's my there we go. Yes, breathing is a workout. Holy moly. I was starting to get a little gleam of sweat there. All right, we'll see you guys. Bye-bye.